Well, hello all. Today we want to calculate the head of a water pump, meaning the height to which it can pump water. So some months ago I ordered online this little pump. You know, when you order online you never know how big it's going to be. Maybe it was a little smaller than I thought. Look, it's shorter than the length of a hand. It's a 12 volt pump. 6 amps, 72 watts, and it says the pressure setting is 0.9 megapascals. So, and it can pump 6 liters per minute. So those are the specifications of the pump. And then when you look at it, it's got a black lead that obviously goes to the negative side of the battery, a red lead that goes to the positive side of the battery. It's got a little arrow there which says that's the in and that is the output of the pump. So what I thought is, let's first of all convert that 0.9 megapascals, 0.9 MPa, to a height of water. And I thought, let's let ChatGPT do that. And obviously 6 liters per minute, that sounds pretty reasonable. That's quite a fair flow if such a small little pump can do it. And then it'd be interesting to see if, when we've converted 0.9 megapascals to an actual height that it supposedly, this little pump can supposedly pump the water to, let's try it out and see if it can actually pump water to any height. So a lot of my friends are catching rainwater from their roofs in JoJo tanks, and then they're pumping it to a storage tank on the roof, and a little pump like this will do, and then they use it for their washing and for toilet flushing, showering, anything but drinking. Some of my friends even drink the rainwater and they have suffered no ill effects. So I thought, well, I can capture rainwater and maybe I could also put a storage tank on the roof and do what they're doing. So let's first of all see the theoretical height that this tiny little pump can pump water to. So I don't do any maths that I don't have to do, so I went to ChatGPT and I asked it to convert 0.9 megapascals to height of water for a pump. And then it went through this whole, gave a formula, H equals P, little p times G, where is the height of the water, the pressure, the density of the water, acceleration due to gravity. There was the calculation, and it ended up with 91.7 meters. And then it says a pressure of 0.9 megapascals corresponds to a water column height of approximately 91.7 meters. Wow, that's a super height. That is a huge height of water. I actually don't think it's possible. But anyway, that's what it says the pump can do. Then I asked it to tell me what is the head of a water pump. The head of a water pump refers to the height to which a pump can raise water, typically expressed in meters or feet. So that is what we are trying to work out, is the head of this little water pump. I have all this piping, and the first order of business, I think, is to connect this pump to this piping. So if one looks, this is the inlet. There is a little arrow somewhere here that says outlet. So this would be the inlet pipe. So what I'm planning to do is to heat this and put it on this inlet pipe. So we've got some boiling water in a flask. Let's heat that. I guess it's a good idea not to get too much sand in these things, and just see if we're able to squeeze this onto here. Yeah, that was easy peasy. Then a hose is going to go in there, and then on this side it's going to be the outlet, and we're going to attach it to all of this hose pipe. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this. And this will be the outlet hose, the one that's going to, in theory, it can go to 91 meters. I'm calling absolute rubbish on that. But, so there's our inlet, and there's our outlet. And let me show you where I'm getting water from, where I store the water. So I built this cage, and in this cage is black DPC, and it catches water from the driveway and fills automatically with water. And then here I've put a little outlet pipe so that when I lower it down below the water line, then gravity feeds water out. So there we can see water's coming out. So we're going to attach this side to the inlet. So there is it set up. Here's our pump, here's our inlet, here's our outlet. Let's see how well it pumps when we attach it to a battery. So there's the negative attached to that side of the battery, and the negative attached to this wire here. I know this is all very tentative, but that's fine. It's not securely connected because we're just trying things out. And then we've got a positive lead here, and when we touch it to this, the pump should go. So when we connect it up, so the pump is definitely pumping. Let's go to the end of the hose and see where the water is coming out. So here is the end of the hose. We're going to see, there we go, there's the first water coming out of our hose. So the pump is definitely pumping. So now the question becomes, to what height can this pump water? So we've established that the pump can pump. Let's now establish what height it can pump to. We have this very long pole here to which I have attached the water pipe. And we're going to raise this pole to different heights and see whether at that particular height the water comes out or not. So let's start raising this pole. So I'm going to put the camera here, and we'll see where the water comes out of that pipe. Wow, just look at that. So that's about 10 foot, or about 1, 2, 3, between 4 and 5 meters. And you can see the water falling on the ground. It's probably not that easy to see. So what I've done is to haul the pipe up, I think about almost 15 meters onto the roof. So if it pours, it's going to pour out from the side of the roof. And down there, somewhere about 15 meters below, is the pump. So let's go switch on the pump and see if the water pumps and pours out from the roof. Well, here is the big test. We are about to switch the pump on to see if it can actually raise water onto the roof. So there goes our pump. It's switched on. Hey, look, there comes water out of the roof. So there is actually water. It's a very small stream, but there is water. Just look how it's leaking out of the pipe. The greater the pressure, the more it's leaking. So maybe the fault is not with the pump, but with the leakiness of the hose. So there's where our water is going. And here, so as I say, we need, there it's shooting out too. So because of the height, the pressure forces it out of every hole. If we had a solid hose, I think we may be in business. So here is our little water pump. We've tested it. What I did was from the roof I hung a nut and I lowered the string the whole length of the roof, and then I measured the height of the roof. The height of the roof was 6 meters, and then there's a further 3 meters down the garden's actual literal vertical height to where the water is and where the water pump actually is operating from. So it's a total height of 9 meters that this tiny little water pump is pumping to. Now, when they say that a pump can pump at 6 liters per minute, that means probably when there's virtually no head or height that it's pumping it to. That's its maximum. And then the higher the head gets, the less the volume of the water will become, I'm sure. So we know that this little pump theoretically can pump 91.7 meters height, vertical height. And we've only asked it to pump to 9 meters. So I'm actually very impressed. It actually could possibly do the job. The problem is that I would have to buy a new piece of this black tubing, this piping, because with so many leaks, it used to be a microjet hose that I just wrapped duct tape around. And that's just not going to cut it because all the little leaks are now all leaking under pressure. So we would have to buy a new piece of that piping to take it all the way to the roof, and then we would see. I would expect maybe we'd only get 1 liter or half a liter per minute. Maybe a 1 liter per minute would be instead of the 2 that it can do. But anyway, I thought it was interesting how we used the measurements on the pump. 0.9 megapascals converts into 91.7 meters of height, and then to actually physically test it by attaching a pipe from the pump to the roof where you want the water to go, and seeing that it actually can get the water to that 9 meter height. This whole little exercise today I've been putting off. I've been wanting to find out how well this little pump worked. You know, God gives us agency, that ability to just get up and with these hands, anything you imagine you can try and you can do. And I just marvel at some people men who can't cook, men who rely, for example, on their wives they can't do anything more than boil an egg. I mean, learn to cook. I think of men and women who've never learned to drive a car. I mean, they're driving schools out there. You become a burden to somebody else who's now got to drive you around all the time, or you're stuck somewhere just because you can't drive. Or, I mean, I know some people who go on their whole life, they can't swim. So when they go to the beach, they always in danger of drowning, or to a swimming pool or something. I mean, there's so many things. You know, I've tried a few things. Yesterday I made some jam, some melon and ginger jam. Anything we conceive of. I mean, just think of that wonderful gift of imagination and then just go and do it. You'd be amazed what you can do. I think it's just so marvelous to see how many women these days are empowered. They don't ask their husband to go and drill a hole in the wall to hang a a picture or a painting, they just grab the drill and they do it themselves. I think it's just so wonderful. I think all people should have agency, and I think many women today do jobs and things, tasks that men wouldn't do. I've seen women, they just go hop in their car and they drive hundreds or thousands of miles, kilometers. They don't care. They've got a cell phone, they've got an AA service, they've got backup, whatever, and they're fearless. It's just too wonderful that people make use of, while you're alive, if there's something that you just feel you need to go and do. I know it just takes work. I was put off by the thought of the work it's going to take. The battery you've got to carry out, the pump you've got to connect, the up and down off the roof, the this, the that, the other. But one feels just so satisfied when a task that you've been imagining to do, you just get up and do it. I think it's just agency. Agency is just such a wonderful thing. The ability to conceive of an idea and then to just get up and just do it. As Nike says, just do it. So, wow, isn't that a marvelous gift that we are given? Imagination and agency.